Hi everyone, I'm David Reeder, and in case you missed it, Caleb Dressel swam insanely fast this weekend. Of course, he was not the only standout during the first week of conference championship meets, and we'll get to all the highlights coming up. A busy episode of the week that was. First off, some very sad news relating to the big tragedy in the United States this week. Nicholas Dworet was one of the 17 people killed in the shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. He was a swimmer at TS Aquatics, and he had committed to swim for the University of Indianapolis next year. A team captain in high school, one of his coaches remarked, "Everybody loved him." Very sad news, and our thoughts with the Dworet family and everyone dealing with the tragedy in Florida. The national high school record in the men's 100 breast was broken twice over the weekend. The record had belonged to Reece Whitley at 51.84 from last season, before Max McHugh broke it Friday with a 51.62. Saturday, Whitley fired back with a 51.16 for the new NHS record. For some perspective, that would have been good enough for third at last year's NCAA championship. So the Cal Bears definitely excited to have this guy next year. Whitley also set a national independent school record over the weekend in the 200 IM. His time was 1:43.55. It's a boy, again! Congrats to Michael and Nicole Phelps for the birth of their second child. Beckett Richard Phelps was born Monday at 21 months after Boomer became the first Phelps child. Photos of the newborn baby on his parents' Instagram accounts, and no word yet on when Beckett will be expected on deck at Arizona State for his first practice with Bob Bowman. First-year TCU head coach Sam Bush officially resigned this week following, quote, an internal inquiry into program rules, policy, and procedure violations. Bush was on paid administrative in February. He was placed there in February, I should say, as the review began, and although the findings from the review were not made public, TCU Athletic Director Jeremiah Donati said that Bush acknowledged the findings of the investigation and chose to resign. He was hired at TCU back in August to replace Richard Sebesma, who led the program for 38 years. Assistant coach Keith Dawley will lead the Horned Frogs through the Big 12 championships, which begin Wednesday. Top story this week, well, if you paid any attention to the SEC championships, you'd know that Caleb Dressel swam pretty well. He broke American records in the 200 IM, 138.13, and the 100 breast, 50.03, and he also swam a time of 40.87 in the 100 free. It's mediocre compared to the other two, right? As his Florida Gators won their 6th straight SEC title in College Station, Texas. A lot of highlights from that meet. Auburn's Hugo Gonzalez swam a time of 3:35.76 in the 400 IM, becoming the second fastest man ever behind Chase Kalish, and Tennessee's Erica Brown swam a 49.84 in the 100 fly, making her number 2 all-time in that event behind Kelsey Worrell. Texas A&M's women won their 3rd straight SEC title, dominating the meet in their home pool and pulling off a 1-2-3-4 sweep in the 200 breaststroke. Meanwhile, at the Women's Big Ten Championships in Columbus, Michigan was victorious over the Indiana ladies, but the top individual performance came from Beta Nelson, who became the second fastest swimmer ever in the 100 backstroke at 49.78. She also broke 150 for the first time in the 200 backstroke. Finally, at the ACC Championships, the University of Virginia returned to the top spot after they lost the title last year after winning 9 straight. Todd DeSorbo making a big impact as the new head coach at UVA. So a busy weekend around the country in conference action. That's it for this week's news, but there's more to come this coming weekend, picking back up on Wednesday, so we will have that for you all next week here on The Week That Was. I'm David Reeder, and we'll talk to you then.